Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're going to give it just a second for everyone to join in from the waiting room. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. This is our July webinar. If you can believe we're already into the summer months here, but today's webinar is going to be on how to show up in AI overviews. I know a very super trending topic. Great turnout today. Thank you all again for being here. I'm Katie Fitzgerald. I'm the Director of Marketing Operations here at YPC Media. You've probably heard from me a little bit if you've been on one of our webinars before. If it's your first time, welcome. Feel free to use the chat feature here to ask any questions throughout. If we don't have time for Q&A as I go through the slides that I've prepared for you today, we'll answer those in our Facebook group, and I'll have the QR code for you to join that at the end. So without further ado, let's get into how to show up in these crazy AI overviews that we're all seeing day to day in our searches. So the biggest thing that we've all been hearing is this shift, right? So traditional Google search was when we would type into the search bar, you'd get 10 blue links, you'd scroll to the first page, nobody ever went to the second page. Then it really transitioned to maps only. People were looking for local businesses. And now we're at the AI search where answers are the most trustworthy summarized answer. So a lot of times people are asking a question. It's not that, insurance agent near me anymore. It's specific questions about insurance, auto insurance, landscaping, you name it, the industry, really longer form questions being asked. And Google's really not ranking the websites anymore when it comes to AI. They're evaluating for the customer and giving that one answer. Sometimes there's a few, sometimes it's, hey, here's the best answer, and here are multiples. So to develop a really good understanding before I go into all the tips that I'm going to leave for you today, I want to dive into understanding the difference between SEO and GEO, and then looking at what components go into what delivers that one answer in AI. So a lot of people are saying SEO is dead. GEO is the way of the future, which some people believe to be true. We do believe that both of them are still necessary at where we're currently at in the marketing world and showing up in the way that people are searching. So SEO was your traditional search engine. So that was our Google, Bing, Yahoo. Raise your hand if you were using Yahoo. I think Google was always the winner, right? But the biggest difference here is the ranking method was always on the algorithm. We talked about it till we were blue in the face. How do we understand what that algorithm is? There was never a published article that we could find to try to understand that. And it really relied heavily on SEO, your on-site and off-site SEO. So all of those local signals as well. And then your technical SEO. So a lot of that depended on your website, right? The user journey would be that they do that search, they click on a couple websites, they click through your page, you would get organic traffic, clicks, and ultimately, a conversion from that. Now, the way things have shifted with GEO is that the optimization is for AI. It's no longer for directly the consumer. You need to, see how that differentiates. And what we're targeting for is the ChatGPTs, the Gemini, Perplexity, AI. And the ranking method is information quality, the structure. We've heard that EAT model again in there. It's not based on the algorithm anymore. It's based on more factual information. So the optimization comes from structure, scannable content across any of your published sites online. And then the user journey looks way different now. It's a much longer journey to get to even your website. And sometimes most of the searches aren't ending up on your website. And we call those the zero-click searches. They typed in their question, they got the answer from AI, and they exited. So AI, there's a possible click now talking about the user journey, but the goal really here is to be included in the AI answer, right? And showing up so that you get that brand awareness. So now let's dive into where is AI getting the information. And remember, this is consistently changing. There are tons of different data sources that are being pulled for all of these different things. So when we look at Google AI overviews, we know that a lot of the data that it's pulling from is Google based, right? So your Google search index, your GBP, reviews, website content, structured data, YouTube, and the list goes on and on. I really tried to summarize this here. And I do want to launch too, if you guys can, I'm going to put a poll in here. The first time I've done a poll on our webinar, but I want to hear from you all what your AI of choice is, what you're using on a day-to-day basis as I go through some of this. So the second being ChatGPT is now pulling a lot from Bing search, which is a big update where it used to, when chat first came out, we knew it was pulling from Reddit. We knew it was pulling from Wikipedia. A lot of those have been upgraded. It's pulling from trusted websites. So chat is determining what is a trusted website. Then as you go into Microsoft, it switches to, Bing Places, the Microsoft ecosystem. Google, Gemini is going off Google Search, Google Maps. It looks like ChatGPT is winning in there. We do have a few on Gemini, Claude, no Copilot or Perplexity. So that's interesting. But as you go down, all of them have different components. So depending on what you're using it for, right, there are pros and cons to a lot of them. Perplexity is one of the first ones that adopted that real-time web search. Claude can also do that same thing when it's enabled. It looks at trusted sources. Meta AI, even on their Meta interface, is using all of the content from Facebook posts, Instagram posts, etc. So I put a lot of info here for the opportunities for a lot of those. You'll see this featured in a blog post later this month, but really wanted to go into remembering that all of these AIs pull from data. So we need to feed that data. It's not simply just a quick upload onto your back end of your site. It's something that takes time and looking at these trusted resources. So while everything is different, one of the things we can summarize is that we're seeing a lot of core things across all of them. First being reviews, your website, your business listing, and your social media. So those really seem to be the common trend amongst all of them when it comes to what actually gets you to be that answer when somebody does a search. So I want to dive into what are the 5 ways that we can optimize for GEO. My goal here is to really deliver you some things to think about, things that you can implement on your own. If you are a YPC Media customer, a lot of these you'll see are implemented in a lot of the services that we use because, of course, us as the marketing agency, we want to make sure that we're adapting all of our programs to optimize for GEO to give your business the best chance to be shown as the trusted answer when people search. So if you haven't guessed, the first thing is reviews are one of the most important things on most of these programs. So Google's not just, when AI isn't just counting the reviews, it's actually reading them, which is, a big adjustment. A lot of the things used to be, get 500 reviews as quick as you can, or you need to have 7 to 10 new reviews coming in every week to, show that. But Google's actually noticing the content in those reviews. They want to hear from what they think is the trusted source is your customer. So they're looking for recurring themes, the specific services mentioned, the experiences. Did you have a level of professionalism? Was there speed? Do they mention price? Was it a cheap service or cost effective or those terminologies? And I think as a business owner, it's very hard to give up that feeling of our customers posting those reviews truly, truly matter. So it is a huge component to making sure you're delivering the best customer service and you have tools in place to make sure that you get as many reviews as possible and your customer feels, empowered to do that. We know a lot of people hit the internet when they're upset. We want to make sure that when they leave your service that they feel the need. It was so great that they have to go leave a review. That's going to be a big piece to going to the next level with this. So I pulled in a ChatGPT search that I did for insurance agents near me. And the 2 top recommendations it gave had full 5-star reviews. I'm, in Rochester, New York. So depending on where you are, the search would be different. But then I actually asked Chat, which remember to do this in almost every search that you do, is ask why it gave you those, right? Not every consumer is going to think that way, but as business owners, we want to challenge that process, right? Why did you suggest these to me? So you can see that it picked for 3 reasons. 1, the proximity to my location. The customer reputation was the second reason. And then the third was the type of agency, because I did such a broad search. I think it was looking to offer something with the most carriers. So the reputation just has such a major factor when it comes to what is showing up in the AI. Pause briefly. Someone asked, is there a certain number of reviews you should strive for every month? There's no longer that threshold. I would say that the businesses we see ranking highest, or if I can say ranking anymore, even I have to relearn terminology, but the business owners being shown in those the most are just getting consistent ones. So whether that's one per day, 5 per week, consistency is going to be what matters. And it's also going to be more now about the quality of the review, not just 5 stars with no text. We want 5 stars with, a lengthy review if we can. So always encouraging the customer. It's hard because you can't really tell them what to write, of course, but making sure that they feel compelled to leave a good review is important. So the second thing is your website still matters. So a lot of people are, okay, well, Katie, the 0-click search, people aren't even coming to my website. I should just make the website optimized for AI. Well, that's not always the case, because what AI is searching for is the customer usability of your website. So some of the things that you can think about is, can AI answer who you are, who do you help, and what do you do when they come to your website? That first initial scan, can they see that information? And that should be really your normal customer journey, right? If someone came to your website, you would want to quickly tell them who you are, who you help, and what you do, so that they know that they're in the right spot. But some of the key components that I want you to focus on, that we actually just reviewed a lot of these internally with our own team, looking at our customers' websites, is looking at the content. So making sure your owner information is on there. If you're the business owner, you want to have your pieces on there. Of course, searches are still happening for individuals. People do recommendations all the time. Then they're going to chat and asking for your name and your information. We want them to be able to find you, meet the team. Again, people are looking for those experts, and showing that your team is that, how long they've been in the industry, all those things are really important about your company. Again, showing, any licenses, awards that you were given, certifications, all of those things should be featured on your website so that it gives you that level of credibility. And then, of course, having FAQs. As people are searching more in question-based format, those FAQs found on your website is going to be a really easy match for, any language model that's looking. On the technical side, there's, of course, so many components to the back end of a website, but the two that I thought were the most relevant for us to talk about today was, one, having a fast website. So your site speed is really important. All of the AI signals, if they come to your site and it's taking forever to load, they're going to move on. And then second is your responsiveness to mobile. This is more customer facing than maybe that, but it does matter because they want to see that you have a good customer user interface on your website for that. So as far as content, I kind of put in the blurb is that, now considered bad is saying we're Rochester's best agency. That doesn't really answer a lot of questions. It's a great title, but it's not going to answer those things for an AI model. So what's something better? We help business owners generate leads through Google Ads, Meta Ads, and local SEO. We all know we do more than some of those things, but we're answering specific questions as some of our headlines. So thinking about that when it comes to your website is very, very important. The third thing is brand consistency. So I know a lot of you have heard this before, that you should have your branding consistent across everywhere that you're on. And I actually saw this on, through my Instagram scrolling, is SEO is actually now search everywhere optimization. So everyone in the US now is searching a plethora of ways, and you really want to be there for anyone that's going to be searching that could be your client. So making sure your messaging is consistent, not only for the customer. Again, we have to think about AI almost as our customer. One, your website, your Google business profile, in your reviews, on your social media. So remember, I'm going to get into social media next, but social media is a huge opportunity to show your brand consistency. Article features, we'll get into that a little bit too, but those business directories. So all of those key directories on the internet that they see are trusted resources, it's important to have your business information listed there. And then YouTube is a huge component. We see that Google's AI overviews are also pulling from videos, social, all those places are very, very important. And kind of to put it into some other terms of AI is essentially a detective. So one clue, one spot isn't going to solve it. If 10 points are all going to that conclusion, it's going to become more confident in its answer, and it's really going to give the most confident answer it can back to that search. Let's go into number 4. My favorite, of course, is that social media is a factor. So it's reading more than just your website. So yes, your website's important. Yes, reviews are important, all those features. But I think the first time I really realized that, hey, social is going to be a factor is that I actually did a search for myself, and it actually referenced an Instagram reel. I was like, wow, that was through Google Gemini. So I'm like, all right, this really matters. Let's dive into why is it giving me an Instagram reel as its trusted source, right? But it comes down to they found that reel had the most specialized information for what I searched. And instead of looking at the website, it was able to find a really good match to my conversation to that. So it really does matter what you publish across your social platforms, because it's going to show your specialization. It's going to show that you're active and up to date. It's going to talk about what topics you're known for. So again, I talked about article features and things like that, and I'll keep getting into more of that. But having another place to publish those, again, gives you more touch points with each part of the AI. How people are engaging with your content. So again, it's going to be able to read through those comments and what your post copy says and a lot of those things on there, which is really important. They're looking to see how people are engaging with that. And then again, it's looking to see if you're viewed as an expert. They want to make sure that they're delivering information to the person that searched that's the most credible, reputable, expert level from somebody that's known in the industry. So this again gives you that leg up of showing all of those key components. And one of the tips that I didn't put on the slide that I do want to give is that Instagram has also put out a way to add alt text to your posts. So if you're posting natively in the platform, it's important to make sure that your copy is really well written. I know a lot of us are going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, write me post copy for this image. It's important, yes, to start there for your thought process, but you need to add your voice as either, a trained person in your office, a trained team member, yourself as the business owner. Making sure you're reviewing that is really important, because you need to add your expertise to those posts, because they do matter. And everyone is going to chat and pulling those. So if they're seeing that, they're going to loop you into everyone else, because you're getting the generic answer, right? You're not giving that extra tidbit of information that shows that you are different and you are, the expert in that. All right. And I did just get a question about explain expertise more. So I think what they're looking for when it comes to expertise is how long you've been in business. To AI models, that also matters for your length of time for that. And also showing expertise by offering answers to questions, showing that there's kind of a lot that's on this slide too, but being featured in your local community as somebody that people go to for help on a certain topic or have been able to solve a problem for people. So it is a little open-ended because it's not black and white. And that's the unfortunate thing with AI, is a lot of it isn't black and white yet. But being able, I think the key component to that expertise is showing, length of time in the business and being featured elsewhere other than your website. So perfect segue into this of, my last piece here of building authority through helpful content. So a big piece of what we've been pushing right now is posting educational content, because it answers a lot of questions when you educate. It's a big reason that we're doing this webinar today, right? I'm hoping to educate you all in more of this AI piece to show our expertise as a business. So the point here is not to just publish as many blog posts on as many topics that pertain to your business as possible. That's not the strategy here. You want to build the authority through news mentions, whether that's your local news, news sites in your area, national ones are even better, article features. So, being featured for different blogs or other local services in your area is also a great way to be featured. That educational content, so that could be posted across anywhere. So I guess, of course, your website, but anywhere else, your social medias, your Google business profile, having that content elsewhere allows the AI to see that content in many other places. And again, feel more confident giving you as the answer. Providing industry tips. Again, that goes back to showing your expertise, right? If somebody's like, why is my, quote for this landscaping job so high? Being able to offer, hey, here are some things that go into it when we quote. That's a industry tip and industry insider information that you're giving to help them better understand why they got to where they did. Of course, answering FAQs are super important. As people post questions, you want to have the answers that that are being asked. A good tip on this is that a lot of people look at answerthepublic.com and they, put in their industry or put in a question that they know is there, and it shows them a lot of different things that are there. It's a really great way to build some content too for your social media accounts. If you have those questions, and doing some longer form video to answer those is a really good tip. And then last is being featured on local podcasts. And I was actually laughing at myself because I should also have put radio here, but I feel like my brain's already switched to podcasts. It's just the way things has been going. But it's answerthepublic.com. I'll make sure we put that in our Facebook group. Someone just wrote in, what was that link? I'll put it in our Facebook group when I get this published. But again, so the more authoritative the place that you are mentioned, the more AI believes that you're the answer. So what I did want to go into from here was that a really great tool that we've built with our new partner, HelloNation, is that we now have a lot of these through that HelloNation program. And I wanted to take a minute today, if you haven't talked to your account manager, or you haven't talked to somebody at YPC Media about HelloNation, definitely get that appointment on your calendar so you can really understand the entire back end that goes into it. But I wanted to show you a few of our clients that were some early adopters to the HelloNation program and some of the searches that they're actually showing up in. So HelloNation is building out those extensive articles, making sure you're featured on some really high authoritative places, but painting you as the expert in your local community. So this search is just a really simple, who's the auto insurance expert in this territory? And one of our clients, a State Farm agent, actually does show up as the top ranked for that. So that is in the AI mode. So that's on Google. So a lot of these is just to show, how some of these are coming up, and you can see it's actually pulling his, State Farm page here. It's pulling a article that was featured on Yahoo Finance through our HelloNation program. Next one's more of a probably question a lot of us maybe have asked at one time in our lives is, what does my renter's insurance cover? So you can see this is more of a insider tip, right? Of really understanding, their policy and some more detailed information. But while AI is giving the entire overview here, you can see AI is actually citing one of the clients on the HelloNation program. So that's really cool to see. And the last example I just showed was, why is it beneficial to work with an insurance agent in Tampa? And it's pulling, again, some of the direct link to our client, but also some of the article information that was published. So just showing, again, how important a lot of that is to show up with that. And then seeing also in some of these searches, as I kind of scroll back, no other agent here was mentioned. Maybe this first one, you can see there's some additional ones listed underneath that, but users are even lazier than ever, right? We know that they don't like to scroll or read past sometimes that first piece of information. So really to kind of go through and sum up, the process that you can start thinking through as you're, adjusting to this new terminology. I'm sure a lot of you have already felt the differences of overall search to your website traffic being down, some paid programs, and that we're seeing traffic have a big shift. So here are some things to focus on is, one, saying who you are. That's going to be through your website. Let your customers say it too. So that's going to be all through your reviews. You want to show up everywhere. That's going to be, your local listings, GBP, that type of thing. Teach what you know, whether that's through a program like HelloNation, content that you build through your website, others' websites, and in partnerships. Staying active on your social media, building authority through mentions. And by that, I mean, anywhere in your local community is great, mentions, and all of your local citations. So making sure for your industry, you're on your, most important listings networks that you can be on. And then I think the biggest thing that you can take away is being consistent with your brand and your messaging. So the clearer that all is, the clearer it is going to be for the AI. And I know I want to hop over to the link here because I know some of you are already hopping off. But please join our Facebook group. I'll be sure to do some follow-up with that. Again, if you have any questions ever, feel free to ask our Facebook group. It's the easiest way to access all of the YPC Media team. We're all in there and ready to answer any questions that you have. We also like to share information as we see them. I know if you guys have been in there and seen, we've given some updates on Google reviews. I know some of you are having some challenges with that. So feel free to answer, go in there. The full recording of this will also be available through there and on our YouTube page. You can also check out our webinars page. So ypcmedia.com/webinars. I have all the way through September scheduled out. Some really good things talking about meta ads and seeing kind of an increase on those next month. And then if you are someone that runs Google Ads with us, it's going to be important for you to sign up for that September webinar. We're going to be going through some different ad types between call ads, responsive search ads. So thank you all for being on today, and we will hopefully see you next time.